Hi students, I wanted to do this quick little video to hopefully help you understand this research design assignment homework a little better. If you saw it before, I'm refilming it because some of the page numbers had changed, so I'm sorry about that. So this is the newest version that goes with the King textbook, 5th edition. So I have the assignment pulled up here for you. And so to go through this is one of your measurements for your learning outcomes, actually for student learning outcome number 1, but it is a homework assignment. So don't, when you're thinking about it in the grand scheme of grades, of course I want you to do your best on it, but it is a little assignment. It's not one of your big semester assignments. So just keep that in mind. I'm just wanting you to get familiar with thinking like a psychologist, thinking about the research that psychologists do, and familiarizing you with the content of the course. Now, this assignment's going to have you actually jumping a little bit ahead to chapter 2, which I want you to do because I want you from early on to start thinking like a psychologist. And so even though it is the content is from chapter 2, it's completely doable for right now. Okay? And you can email me any questions that you have. So the first thing and the most important thing I want you to hear me from this video say is that this is a hypothetical research design. You are not really doing this experiment, this naturalistic observation, whatever it is that you're choosing to do. So you won't really be doing this. So don't worry about how am I possibly going to do this type of research? How am I going to get people? All of that this is just on paper in design. What kind of research would you do? So the first thing is to choose a human behavior that you want to research. So it can be any observable behavior. It might be, I put on here, smoking habits, computer usage, public displays of affection, the list goes on and on. Just think about a behavior that you've witnessed, that you've observed, and you thought, why do people do that? For instance, sidewalk behavior. There's no law, there's no rule that says you have to walk on the right side of the sidewalk. So imagine you're on back in the good old days, you're on Saks campus, you're walking from one class to another, you walk along the sidewalk. Most people will adhere to driving laws, which have you drive on the right side of the road. We walk on sidewalks that same way. So that's a curious, observable behavior. So have you ever thought, what if I decide to walk on the left side of the sidewalk? So you will be coming head on, right, like face on, with people who are walking on the right-hand side. Do that one time. It's kind of, in a safe place, do that. It's funny how upset people will get, like they will stop. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to veer off for you because you're supposed to be on the other side of the sidewalk. So that's just an example. People holding hands in public and then someone else walks in the room. Does that change their behavior? I mean, anything is fair game. Just make sure that it is a human behavior that is observable. The second thing that you're going to do is to form your hypothesis. What do you think will happen if the research was done, if the experiment was done? Now, you're not really doing it, but just thinking through that. Page 27 of your book will help you understand, and you can read ahead on hypothesis a little bit better. Third is choosing your research design. And on page 30 of your book starts the different types of research design that you might want to do. So you can have naturalistic, case histories, correlational studies, experiments, the list goes on. What makes the most sense for the behavior that you're wanting to study? What kind of design works best? I could, for example, in class, come in, I really couldn't do this because of ethics, but just hypothetically, if I came in one day and I said, okay, class, half of you are getting a caffeine pill and the other half of you are getting a placebo, but you do not know which one that you're getting. That's an experimental design because I have an independent variable, which is what I'm giving to you, either a placebo pill or a caffeine pill. My dependent variable is the measurement of the independent variable. So I'm just looking at, whether I was measuring your hyperactivity level, I was measuring your focus, whatever I wanted to do in that design. So that would be an experiment. Naturalistic observation is where you take your subjects, your participants, and you are only observing them and you are not influencing their behavior in any way. In most cases, that means that you're hiding because your presence even could alter people's behavior. So this is where a lot of times with children, in our new child care center that will be on the SAC campus, there will be some observational rooms where it's two-way mirrors, so the children don't know that there's people that can actually observe them. And so we'd be able to go in and do a naturalistic observation. We're not doing anything to influence behavior. We're not even being seen, but we could do things like measure how many times they grab a toy from each other, how many times they put their hands over the mouth, whatever our element of research is going to be. Case histories are where you take people and study them for a long amount of time, so you're not necessarily manipulating their behavior in any way. You're simply just recording a longitudinal study of what happens to them throughout their life. Oftentimes with case histories, it's something that has happened to a person that makes them unique, and you want to see how that plays out. In class, I'll teach you about HM, who is famously known for experiencing amnesia and what that, caused in his life. Early on, we'll talk about Phineas Gage, who had a metal rod go through his brain and changed his personality, taught us a lot about brain research. Again, these would be things that already happened to people. You certainly wouldn't do them to people and then watch what happens to them. That would be unethical. But something has occurred, they agreed to sign up for research, and you follow them throughout their lifetime. And then surveys, I think we all know what surveys are. You probably have taken 1 million in your life, which is where you're asking people questions. So this, I teach human sexuality, a very famous study that was done by Alfred Kinsey and his group, and they studied sexual behavior and compared men and women. So they did it through a survey. So they asked how many, the frequency rates, at what age, number of partners, that type of stuff, and then was able to compare the data. Correlational studies are a little bit different. You're not necessarily looking at a cause and effect relationship, but you're looking at two things that happen simultaneously. Maybe one day you'll prove them as cause and effect, but right now you're just seeing that their occurrences happen together, but X is not causing Y. So things like that. So, and then I talked about experiments. So read about those starting on page 30. Decide which kind of design you want for your hypothesis. And then number 4 is give a brief explanation of your design. How you're going to study the behavior. Do you have any variables? How many people do you want in your study? Are you going to compare males to females? Are you going to compare different age ranges? Are you going to look at socioeconomic status? And then predict what you think your results will be. Again, this is all hypothetical. You're just doing your best at designing a research design so that you can appreciate all the studies that we're looking at, all the thought that is behind setting up a study. So the details of the assignment, you're going to upload it right here in Canvas for me. I'm not worried about format. I'm worried about how you're thinking about this and not so much formatting. Absolutely go for APA style if you want to, but you can list out number 1 and kind of answer these questions, number 2, and answer what your hypothesis is. If it makes sense for you to provide like a diagram or kind of draw it out, I'm totally fine with that. Be as creative as you want. Again, format doesn't matter. It's all about the content and it's critical thinking. So this is really, I don't expect you to have it perfect. You're learning. You're new to psychology. This is a low-hanging fruit assignment. So just give it your best effort. If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck and have fun with it.